Thank you so much for attending my presentation on why Vanilluxe is extremely underrated, and first let's talk about the set it runs. This Pokemon is really simple. Everything revolves around Vanilluxe using its ability Snow Warning to set up the weather. This enables Blizzard, a 110 base power move that's extremely difficult to handle and can't miss in the snow. By running a Choice Scarf, it can then get to clicking Blizzard as fast as possible, outspeeding almost anything that the opponent can throw at them. Off of Vanillux's 110 special attack stat, this move is a monster, helped further by its surprisingly good bulk. Its defensive stat line of 71, 85, 95 is solid and is only increased by Snow's 1.5 times boost to its physical defense. This thing can take a lot of punishment, which is not what you want to hear when it's throwing ultra strong blizzards at your team. Its other three move slots are also important. Freeze Dry is vital for coverage, being an ice type move that notably deals super effective damage against water. It might sound niche, but you end up clicking this a lot, not only to hit waters, but also to get around Guard or ensure a hit outside of snow. Icy Wind lets Vanilluxe play a supportive role by lowering speed stats. Locking yourself into the relatively weak Icy Wind sucks, but can be a lifesaver against quick threats that you can't knock out yourself. For example, if you have a Vanilluxe and Sneasler against a Focus Sash Aerodactyl, clicking Icy Wind in close combat instead of Blizzard allows your Sneasler to pick up the knockout after the speed drop. Aurora Veil is another supportive option, this one reducing damage to your side of the field for 5 turns. It's not often worth having to switch to use another move, but in rare instances it does help a bunch. Alternatively, Sheer Cold is a cheesy yet viable win condition to bring back lost games. Have your Vanilluxe in a 1v1 against something that doesn't die in a single hit? Roll the dice with the 30% accurate Oko move, it's genuinely worth a shot. This is all well and good, but how does Vanilluxe match up against the current meta? Surprisingly, it actually doesn't do too bad. There's a bunch of very common Pokemon who get hit for huge damage by Blizzard or just outright die, including Garchomp, Sneasler, Whimsicott, Aerodactyl, Sinistcha, and Archaludon. You can expect to hit at least 2 Pokemon per team for over half of their HP, making pivoting difficult. This is especially important considering how annoying it can be to take down. Sneasler and Tyranitar can do it, but both are range dependent if you aren't heavily attack invested. Charizard of course Okos it with Heat Wave, but after those two it's not really much. Bulky Incineroar doesn't get there, Archaludon doesn't get there, and Aerodactyl doesn't get there. There are some other things that can knock you out, notably Glamora and 200 base power last respects do it, but that's not a very long list. These teams that are often packed with stuff that loses to Blizzard have to either ignore your other slot and double Vanilluxe or eat several massive spread attacks. Vanilluxe being so self-sufficient thus makes it hard to counter without making yourself very weak to the Ice Cream Cone's partner. Of course though, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There are a few staples that take very little damage from any of its moves, notably Kingambit and Incineroar, two very common Pokemon. Others, like Basculegion, Pelipper, and Milotic, are hit by Freeze Dry but can be switched in after Blizzard is already used to take it handily. When positioned well, Vanilluxe is a demon, especially as a late game cleaner, but its reliance on weather as a choice-lacked Pokemon makes it prone to becoming dead weight against patient opponents. Finally, I want to talk about why it's good compared to other Blizzard Pokemon. Probably the mon most often thought of as a premier snow setter is Alolan Ninetales, an ice fairy type that, at first glance, does what Vanilluxe does but better. It has fairy coverage plus is much faster, so why not just run that? Well, there's one big area where Vanilluxe shines compared to Ninetales: power. Alolan Ninetales' special attack stat is a mediocre 81, while Vanilluxe is at 110. That is a huge difference and is the main catalyst behind Blizzard's devastating power. And yes, while Ninetales' other traits are powerful, they're not as impactful in this format. Fairy is nice, but there aren't as many fighting and dark types, which hurts its potential. And while the speed is helpful, it would still have to run a Scarf to get past Sneasler and Aerodactyl. Mega Frostlass is another great snow setter, and one that's definitely better standalone than Vanilluxe, but requires you use your Mega slot on it. That's a huge commitment, one that many teams can't make. Finally, other snow setters like Abomasnow or Aurorus are just worse, either in attacking power, speed, or both. There isn't really a great reason to run them. In conclusion, Vanilluxe has some extremely strong traits that make it, in my opinion, a solid off-meta pick. Right now, this thing has almost no usage, which I think is a shame. It is absolutely better than people are giving it credit for. Definitely not a high-level contender, but one that deserves a second look. Thank you so much for watching.